Shabbat shalom, everybody. Welcome to the discussion of the beautiful message that we heard by our rabbi on Sukkot. And he said, the bottom line is, he said, it's really a time of rejoicing. It's a time for us to know that wherever we are, we can give light to others. But it's very difficult to give light to others until we understand the whole, really the message of Sukkot is that we're transients here on this earth. That's what the sukkah was. It was a temporary dwelling. And these bodies are temporary dwellings. When you get to my age, Mauricio, you're going to feel more and more.
Yeah.
We feel our age more and more, even though we don't want to. The insides feel the same, and it's the outsides that are falling apart. Um, and so we're so grateful. And I love the picture of the four species, the etrog, the lulav, the hadassah, and the arov. He said one has fruit and aroma, but I think he used to teach it one has taste. One has taste and the other one has smell. So on one represents the Torah and faith, and the other one represents the aroma represents the good deeds that we do. So some people are filled with studying the Torah. They take copious notes. I've seen people come and taking all these notes, but then they go away and they forget everything and they do nothing. And then there are those uh, and those are what Rabbi called a spiritual glutton. And then you have those who don't even care about what's written in the Torah, but they do all kinds of good deeds because they feel good about themselves, and they want to be raised high in the community. And then you have those who have um, who do both, and some on the other does. Well, you understand. Anyway, so that's what really the high holidays, these seasons of high holidays are about. And for some of us who take it very seriously, it could be a very tough time because looking at ourselves, examining our hearts is not an easy thing to do. Um, and that can even make us sick. So I think that's one of the things that happened to me every time I examine myself. I say thank you, God, that you haven't finished with me, that it's not an ending, but a new beginning. That's amazing to me, absolutely amazing. So tell me, ladies and gentlemen, what you got out of Rabbi's message and what you have your own opinions about the season.
Um, this one thing when you say um, you examined yourself, and you look inside yourself. What I find always amazing, you told me something the other day. It's not a big deal. I won't repeat it, but I was so amazed because I didn't think those sort of things happen. Like maybe I always had the idea, we have this joke that I'm the worst. I always say I'm the worst, and you go, no, I'm the second worst, whatever, in terms of our walk with God and the things we do wrong. And when you told me something the other day, I said, "Oh my, that Peggy does that or did that and the struggling." I was so shocked. I mean, just about one particular thing. I said, "Wow." Like, I don't know, maybe I judge myself. Well, whatever. I'm pretty much a human being. I don't always realize, it sounds crazy, but anyway. But also the fact that, when Rabbi was saying that we carry a spark, and when we're with others, it's like our spark may light up, others, and then we're carrying God with us. So, I mean, that sounds crazy. God is in us. And it's so important for each one of us to forgive ourselves because of that. That to me is the start of the journey. Really starts with us. I know it's been said before, but doesn't mean we'll be perfect, but it's a journey. And we have to realize that we're like lanterns. We do carry a spark, and it's really important. But but we shouldn't put ourselves down so much either. That's not healthy. But it's a balance. Yes, we sin and we do wrong, but we are carrying a spark within us to others.
And only God knows what that spark is going to look like to others. We can't conjure up a spark. We can't create the spark. God is the spark. He creates.
Yeah, and also when it said just in the readings that we always do in the responsive, etc., when it says, that God will put, He will cause us to keep the commandments. Like, I mean, that sounds, maybe the translation is not exactly that, but we can't even keep anything totally without Him. So our free will is to obey God, to want to follow God. But after that, we need God to do it. To me, our free will starts with um, choosing life, choosing God. Other than that, it says He will cause us to walk. We need God to walk. We need to walk with God. Otherwise, we can't do it.
And what does that mean? Practically speaking, walking with God.
Well, in every simple everyday interactions, like I'm going through something where two friends are, um, one especially who's totally unfriended me, and I've known her since she was 13, I was 25, and it's like many, many years. And now, because of the whole thing in Gaza and all this stuff, she's just unfriended me. Now I have to know how to respond to that without just my tendency is to say, okay, off with her head, I don't care. And there's another friend. Anyway, my point is, how do we interact with people now in everyday reactions? How do we, let's say the cashier makes a mistake at the store and gives us back $20 instead of $5. Do we give that money back? Do we keep? I mean, it's very practical. And how do we turn to God in prayer? Do we ask God to help us? So that's what I mean. Like, do we honor our parents? Do we try and help them? Even like I had something happen. A cousin that's much older than me called me, and you can't. Her mother did treat her awful. There's no doubt she was emotionally abused, but she came out and said the C word. I don't know if you know which word I mean. My mother is okay. I'm not going to say it. She
Oh,
went on like this, and I said, "Stop." I acknowledged that your mother did abuse you mentally. There's no doubt, but I said, what you're doing now. First of all, you're publicizing, you're putting it out into the air. I don't want to hear that word with regard to her, even though I acknowledge that she did treat you wrong. But you have to stop that because it's making you sick. So I'm saying all these things are our walk with God. And but we have to start applying that to ourselves as well. Not be so angry at ourselves for, when we fall and do a thing that's wrong. We get up. God is the God of beginning again, and we make it right.
yeah.
It's a journey, a constant daily journey.
Yeah. It's like this week I've started to take piano lessons again. And I'm because I fixed up my piano and I'm taking them online on an academy that teaches in a completely different way. Because I don't want to play right now where I am in life. I don't want to sit and play classical music. It's not my interest. But what I love to do is sing Hebrew songs. So I want to follow along. I want to be able to take a page with all my chords that I play on the guitar and transfer that over to the piano. And as soon as I said that, within a few days, I saw an advertisement for someone on Facebook or YouTube offering exactly that. But before he begins, he talks about confidence, letting go bad habits from the past, almost starting completely again. And then he started talking about purpose. What is our purpose? And that's something that's always been something that drives me, is my purpose in life. But I find that I do so many things that I don't excel in any one. In English, there's an expression called jack of all trades, master of none. So I do many things, and I feel that I don't do anything good enough to be a master of it. And he was trying to say how important that is and to write down my purpose. and I was looking at the different things that I do, and the purpose for me that stands out the most is to be able to talk about, to show God in my life to people, to talk about God to people. And but it's not like just talking. Rabbi always says that it's how you live. It's what you do, which is where, where the balance is so difficult. This is why we have to search during these holidays, why it's so important. And then, and I was really talking to God about that, really show me my purpose. And then I got a call from a friend of mine who's told me that her grandson contacted her and that he had heard from a rabbi that he's just newly married, this young man. And the rabbi told him that you have to give your wife whatever she wants, no matter what she asks for. Even if it's a Louis Vuitton bag that costs $10,000, you have to go and you have to take an extra job and you have to work hard and you have to give that to your wife. And she said, "What do you think about this?" I said, "I don't know what kind of rabbi that is, but it certainly is not what the Torah speaks about at all. To do to that, what kind of a relationship is that?" And so she said, "Well, what would you say to him?" So I told her. She said, "Could you do me a favor and record what you would say to him?" So I did. I sent it to her. And she told me that her grandson called her and she was able to talk to him about always, no matter who it is, whether it's a rabbi, whatever person gives you an opinion, tells you something, that if it doesn't stay with what's written in the Torah, then you have to question it because that's our basis of wisdom and our basis of truth. So she told me that she was able to speak to him and he loves God and he loves the Torah. And he said to her, "Thank you, Savta. That's, I agree with you. That's exactly what I needed to hear." So then I thought, look, and then she called me. She was so excited. So I was able to help her out of the blue. It was like an answer to prayer for me because sometimes I feel like the people that I really want to get through to are not listening to me in my own family, my friends, like, and I feel like I'm not fulfilling my purpose. I look at so many speakers around the world who have huge followings and they're saying the craziest things. They're never getting to the root of the cause which lies in the Torah. So I was really you never know where something's going to come from. It's like you said, I remember when I read in the book of John, when I was first looking for coming back to God, and John said, "I am not the light, he is the light." And I remember thinking, wow, what pressure that takes off of me, because thinking we always have to be the light, sometimes we're just not, you know, and and so that it was beautiful. And that to me is the most important thing that we can, the most important element of these holidays is the searching of our souls. And you know, it is understanding that God is always there and he's always ready to forgive. And I wanted to ask you something also, because last night I was thinking about somebody who I love, but I have not forgiven them, nor have they forgiven me, nor have they asked for my forgiveness, nor have they tried to be different. And I don't know, honestly, if I have forgiven them. And I don't know how to do it. You know, I find that it's not an easy thing to do because I haven't been able to sit down with them to discuss about the things in the past because it's just too difficult for us. Right now, we're not in a place in our lives. And then I said, how could I expect her to forgive me if I don't forgive her? It's such a difficult thing. And so just pray for me for that.
Peggy, I
Yeah.
know this is like an obvious answer, but I constantly go back to the Corey ten Boom example and just you can ask God for you to give you the forgiveness to give to her. We can't do it. I don't think any true forgiveness can just be generated from us. But I mean, that's unobvious, but I think it's the truth that Corrie ten Boom, who went all over the world and she loved God and she had incredible experiences, she could not forgive this Nazi person. And I'll just say it again, she in herself, she was filled with hate when he came up to her after the war and said, "Can you forgive me for what
But
I've done?"
that's a secret. He asked her to forgive.
Okay, that's true, but you can only take care of yourself, Peggy. In
Yeah,
that case, you
yeah.
can,
Well,
you
that's
can't control another person.
no.
Maybe it goes two ways and it even spills over from you onto her. If you forgive her in your heart, she's going to experience something that maybe you can't spell out. So I'm saying, I don't think we're capable of forgiving without God. We
No.
could say it. People say, "Oh, I forgive you," and blah, 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 but I don't think we're capable of it.
Yeah, I agree. I agree. Thank you. It was a simple thing. Just ask God to help. I don't know if I did. I was looking for it inside of me and I couldn't.
No, it's not in us.
No, it's not
It
in.
really isn't.
Yeah.
Yeah, I would like to add to what you are saying. I remember once I heard from one rabbi because there was an attack over a Christian in Nigeria, I think, and many people has been killed right now. Nobody is saying nothing because are not Jews between that war, okay? But uh, there was I'm not sure it was a pastor or reverend, but it was a religious Christian person, and he started to say, "Oh, I forgive Boko Haram for doing this to myself and doing this for my people." And I remember I read a commentary from a rabbi in that post that said, uh, how can you forgive someone if 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 that person never asked you to be forgiven? Okay. And suddenly something changed in my mind, and that is true. The only thing that we need to do when, for example, if I fight with another person and and we need to sort out, we need to forgive that person. Uh, the only way to forgive is to approach to that person. That the person who made a mistake approach to you is a very same principle as the sacrifices. Remember, we we ask for forgiveness to God. But what is the main point here? We need to go to come before God in the altar to confess our fault and ask for forgiveness. Okay. Then just after that, God grants you forgiveness. Okay. But before that, you are not forgiven. Okay. Uh, because forgiveness is a fruit of an action of an action of humbling, recognizing the mistake, and try to repair. And if it's not possible to repair, so then uh, just to say, okay, I'm gonna forgive you. That doesn't mean to have a good relationship again with that person,
Mhm.
because it's the very same principle as Jacob and Esau. Remember,
Right,
they forgave one another,
right,
but they took different ways.
right,
Okay.
right,
Now, the most important thing is that you inside of your heart do not feel nothing against that person.
right,
Okay. It is not that you are showing something against that person or thinking, oh, I hope a thunder just
right.
just
Like,
goes inside
right.
a person.
Yeah.
Okay, no,
Right.
if that is not in you, then you are living in peace.
Right.
But you cannot forgive, I think, a person. Yes, in your heart probably you can forgive, but that is not forgiveness.
No.
That is just that you don't feel nothing against a person, but the point is to forgive, to say, okay, I forgive you, is because that person came before you and asked for your pardon and said, I made a mistake.
Right.
If that doesn't happen, then you cannot forgive that person. Um, but anyway, and that is something I really love about the message of the rabbi at the end. He said, the past is already done. What you
Right.
can do.
Right.
The future has not happened yet.
Right.
So we are living the present. That is all we can do. Every moment we have to live. It's very important to have a good deeds, a good Torah, a good fruits in everything he mentioned. Um, and just to close, I just wanted to add something that I really rejoice this week with a prisoner. At least they have right now an agreement, okay, that supposedly Thursday should happen something very important.
Yes, I
But
hope. Right.
yeah, but there's a hope, okay, more closely than before, okay, that
Right.
some hostages could return to Israel, but it was on October 7th, I think, the agreement. And on that day, it was like a prophecy fulfilled, okay? Remember that I've said always that the prophecies are not referring just to the future. Prophecy something sometimes is referring to something that happened before.
Mm.
Example of that is the prophecy against Paro. Okay, the prophet start to prophesy against Paro. Oh, you believe that you were the god of the river, Night River, etc. But that wasn't something that happened really in the future because Paro doesn't exist anymore. So it was referring to something that happened before. Uh, in in even is a historical book, I can see that is a prophecy. It's written in Nehemiah 8. Okay, in Nehemiah 6, 8, 18, uh, it says that all the captives, the whole community that returned from the captivity, made booth and dwelt in the booth, so in the sukkah. Uh, the Israelites had not done so from days of Yeshua, son of Nun, to that day, and there was a very great rejoicing. So
Wow.
it was something that all captivities are returning on Sukkot during these days. So it was rejoicing from everyone. So I start just to you don't know how happy I felt when I read this, and I said, "Oh God, you are returning all the captivities on Sukkot."
Yes.
Okay, so it's a prophecy is very powerful.
Wow.
So and also um, I've never seen honestly um, so many people against um, Israel during these days.
Right.
Okay, uh, but as the rabbi mentioned, he's our covering.
Right.
Uh, he's protecting us, just like the desert. Okay, uh, and I love something that I the you know, this week I saw National Geographic, uh, a documentary about that there are some people who are trying to look if the Bible descriptions in Genesis are true, and they discover many things. One was obviously the the when the Exodus, when people goes into the Red Sea, uh, and these are Christians, not really Christians, but at least they are scientific, but not Jews. Okay, and then about Sodom and Gomorrah, because they start to say, "Oh, what happened? What is the explanation of all this?" Um, and it's interesting how the light is going to everybody. So I hope one day, honestly, we can celebrate Sukkoth with all the nations. That has been my prayer, and I hope to see that with my eyes. Okay, when all people recognize that there is only one God, one, one, when we when we all the nations come together to Jerusalem and celebrate Sukkot. Um, and this is a festivity, as the Rabbi mentioned, for all nations.
Right.
It's not only for Israel. So he's protecting us.
Exactly. It reminded me what you just said. I was thinking about that this week, not that verse, Mauricio, but something else. And when Nehemiah was so, his face was so down, and it was King Darius, I think, no, or was it Cyrus? I think it's the same. He asked, "What's wrong with you?" And he said, "The wall around Jerusalem is broken down." And there was the prophecy that they would only be in Babylon for 70 years and then they would come back. And now it's 70 years. And it reminded me of the last time when President Trump was president. It was around that time. And he put the Jerusalem as the capital. Like he's like a modern day Darius, modern day Cyrus, rebuilding, helping Israel, rebuilding Israel. And I thought of how after the Holocaust, it's 70 years and Israel's become a nation. And now, with the captives being set free, that verse is amazing that you just said. And then the whole idea of how in the end of Zechariah 14, how it says Sukkot will be the last, will be celebrated by all the nations of the world. All these prophecies are coming true as in our day as we see it. It's just it's beautiful. Now, Darius wasn't a righteous king. He wasn't just like President Trump, but he's doing the work that God is having him do, which to me is, you see the cycles, throughout history repeating over and over again. It's just marvelous. It's a beautiful stories. I don't know what I would do if I didn't know the Torah right now. Oh my goodness. I don't know if I would be alive. These are wonderful stories. Anyway, thank you for that. What was it? Nehemiah chapter 8?
Chapter 8, verse 17.
Nehemiah 8:17. And I'm waiting because it says afterwards, when Ezra found the scroll of the Torah and he read it to all the people, and they all wept, knowing that what they had done. That's what we need to see in Israel. It's like in Second Chronicles, if my people who are called by my name will humble themselves, then I will heal their land. And that's what we pray to see in these last days.
I wonder if it was Sukkot when Ezra read this found scrolls.
I don't know. Was it at Sukkot? I'll have to look and see. Mauricio, thank you everybody for celebrating our Shabbat with us. And let's keep the light going. Let's keep being a spark. Let's keep searching our hearts and praying to God to heal our land, to heal our people, and to heal the world. Hag Sukkot Sameach, and we'll see you again. Shabbat Shalom, everybody.
Shabbat shalom.